Hello everyone, welcome back to the 5 Minute Social Worker, where we mix up the serious with the not so serious, blending insights with laughs in our very own social work cocktail. I'm your host Matt, ready to guide you through another episode. This time I'm pouring my knowledge into the pot of cultural competence. Sometimes it feels like being a chef in a global kitchen, where every ingredient is as unique as the people we work with, and our recipe book is written in, well, let's just say a language we're still trying to learn. Cultural competence is like stepping in a kitchen filled with ingredients you've never seen before. There you are, standing with a wooden spoon in hand, a bewildered look on your face, determined to make something edible. It's a bit like trying to follow a recipe when you're not quite sure if folding the cheese means a literal fold or some cooking technique passed down through generations of chefs. The journey to cultural competence, in my experience, is not a straight path. It's a winding road with unexpected turns, like discovering that nodding doesn't always mean agreement, and direct eye contact isn't always good. Mainly it is, though. It's about learning the subtle dance of communication, where every misstep is an opportunity to learn a new step. For me, it started with a simple realization. I was a visitor in the lives of others. My role was to learn, to adapt, and to respect, and certainly not to be an expert. Now, picture this. You're in a conversation, armed with the best of your social work theories. But there's a catch. The silence speaks louder than words. You're left deciphering the unsaid, reading between the lines of body language, and suddenly you realise that cultural competence is less about the words you use and more about the space you create for understanding to bloom. I once found myself a few years back at a review meeting in a foster carer's house. He was from Southeast Asia. I was all ready to dive into deep discussions, reports in hand, but instead of a formal sit-down, I was met with an aroma that made my packed lunch weep in despair. Next thing I know, I'm being led on a culinary expedition through the heart of Southeast Asia, right there in the kitchen. Every dish was a story, a chapter from the foster carer's life. With each bite, I wasn't just filling my stomach, I was absorbing a culture, a heritage. Between mouthfuls of the most amazing homemade samosas, which put my cheese and pickle sandwich to shame. We talked, really talked, not just about the care planning, but about life and everything that goes with that. I found it hard to focus on the serious discussions I needed to have and keeping my professional composure while my taste buds were on fire. With a face so red from the spices like I was in a cartoon, the foster carer, well, they found my spice tolerance or lack of the most amusing part of our meeting. But this detour was more than just a test of my spice endurance. It was like cultural competence in action. It wasn't about me imparting wisdom from my social work pedestal. It was about learning, sharing, and yes, sweating together through the richness of diversity. It taught me that sometimes the best way to understand another's world is not through words, but through experiences shared over a plate of food, bridging worlds one meal at a time. So, as we stir this pot together, remember, achieving cultural competence is like perfecting a recipe. It requires trial and error, dash of patience, and a spoonful of humour. Be willing to learn and turn misunderstandings into connection. Keep your kitchen open, your recipe book ready for new entries, and your heart prepared for the feast of understanding that cultural competence offers. In social work, it's the diverse flavours, the shared meals, and yes, even the occasional kitchen disaster that bring us closer to those we work with. So, till we meet again next week, keep laughing, keep learning, and remember, in the ever-evolving menu of social work, it's our willingness to try every dish that makes us better chefs in the kitchen of cultural competence. So here's to you all, a big cheers, and take care till next week.